Other than the document tabled at the ministerial meeting on Wednesday, the 27th of last month, is the project team aware of the number of children who live in and around the drilling construction conveyor belt site? This includes the childcare centre of the Royalty, and the table document only examined the number of children in and around the Cardross, Street. There are significantly more when you include Stanford, Green, Livingston and Cardross together and other frontline streets. Is the team aware of the potential consequences of locating a major capital works project of unprecedented scale in an area so heavily populated by families with children, and if so, what will be done to mitigate the harm, noise, etc. during 24-hour construction?
The EIS includes a social impact assessment, and Will, who is here today, is responsible for undertaking that social impact assessment. And what the SIA includes is baseline demographic information on existing communities in the study corridor. And so that includes information on children, it includes information on the number of elderly people, it includes information on the people with special needs as well. What the EIS in the social impact and also in other areas of the EIS has identified and mapped sensitive uses in the study area, and that includes the childcare centre at School Road, but also other uses such as schools, aged care facilities, hospitals, and also open space areas. And they're particularly important when we look at things like noise and dust as well from construction. So the social impact assessment will consider the potential impacts from construction for those communities and neighbourhoods closest to the proposed works and identify ways to manage those. And so we'll look at noise, we'll look at safety for children and also changes to the community. The goals that will be identified in the EIS, particularly in relation to noise and vibration, I suppose there's a number of objectives that they seem to do, and that's about ensuring that people can continue to sleep, that they can continue to learn and work in the area, and also that they continue to be involved in recreation. So we understand that while this is a big project, people also need to be able to live near these works. And so a number of goals will be identified, and I mentioned earlier that they'll be included in the EIS, and they'll be based on state and national standards. And so for noise and vibration, they include standards for both daytime activities and also nighttime activities as well. So there will be different goals for those, and there will be different goals for different land uses as well. So there's particular goals for residential buildings, for hospitals, for churches, for schools and commercial buildings. So even for the schools, there's particular goals for whether it's a music room, or whether it's a classroom, or whether it's some sort of some other room in that in the school as well. And so these goals have generally been effective in managing the impacts of construction for people and communities near to those works. But obviously, there might be some occasions where the particular works might exceed those goals, and what the EIS will do is identify a process for how to go about managing where those goals, where it's predicted that those goals might be exceeded. And so that's where consultation comes with those communities and those residents that are likely to be most affected to identify those appropriate issues of mitigation. And again, that ongoing monitoring about compliance with those goals and the effectiveness of those mitigation measures.
I've got a quick question about that. Is that right? About standards. This is a big issue because Mike hits the nearby. So the way that you apply the standards and what standards are being used is of paramount importance to me and my neighbours. So just in your opinion, for example, do you think there are dangerous lead levels in the community in Mount Isa? And the answer is yes. the answer is yes, then it seems that we can trust the standards. But if the answer is no, and if I spoke about another environmental problems elsewhere across the state, the answer is no, 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 then when you come to apply those standards here, there's no reason we should trust them.
The standards, I suppose, that will be used are state standards that are set by state legislation, but also national environmental protection measures as well. And they provide the basis of the goals for air and also noise as well.
According to the state government, there's no problem with lead in Mount Isa using those standards.
Which there is.
I don't think that there'll be a problem with lead in regard to this project. So obviously we'll apply the process, and you'll have the opportunity to actually input into the process. So if you have specific concerns about the standards that we're applying, then that's what this process is all about. We need to adjust. And there's particular learnings out of other projects. We need to reflect those in the ongoing development of EISs.
I think you understand what you're saying.
The point is that there are standards that are set. There are two arguments to any side of the coin in Mount Isa or anywhere else. Great Barrier Reef, there's always two sides to the story. What I would be recommending is those people that are particularly interested about the environmental impacts that they form a committee and actually sit down with these people and get the best answers that they can from the team. Go off and get independent advice from wherever, and as a group, I'm sure that we'll be able to get some university people involved to help us with an argument, whether it's for or against, and then come back with that. I think it's a bit unfair to start throwing eyes at these people here, and they're not in control of the environmental impact legislation anyway. But I would recommend that those people that are really keen get together and set something up so we can take it forward. So if you're prepared to put your hand up, and you're prepared to put your hand up, and a couple of others, great.
Here's the point.
We can take it forward from there.
Lead in Mount Isa, and it harms children massively. The state government standard says there's no lead problem.
Well, the reason why Mount Isa is there is because the lead is there.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it's you're on silly. Clearly, I'm worried about the standards they will apply.
Okay, I'm saying that's not a problem. It's not everybody here to get involved. You come up with some specific questions with a group of other people, and we will get into to get those answered by the environmental minister. Because if there's a need for change, well, it is being done. There are people working on it. What I'm saying is that if you want to look at the legislation and you want to have an impact in that area, you need to be able to put a cogent argument to the people that matter. These people can't change anything.
You guys are the experts. You should know what questions might come up.
But they don't have a whole team for the environmental impact statement, and it's up to us as a community. I'm on their side. I'm the chairman. The group needs to get together.
We don't know all the questions to ask.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that the people that have got an insight into environmental impacts get together and talk about it, and then you'll be as much informed as everybody else.
John?
And then we can ask the questions.
John, could I just say, we've got a meeting planned for a month's time, another one. And if we put together detailed sets of questions about some of the particular questions we're interested in, I'm sure we can approach the team again to do this again with a focus on those issues. Then we'll all be that much better prepared, the team will be prepared, and we can that committee can get together, we can advise ourselves and get a really cogent set of questions together.
And that response was going to come after question 12 and 13. So if we get the questions out of the way, then we can get on to the next stage.
Just one more thing on that. There are terms of reference for the environmental impact statement, and so you'll get an insight into the sorts of things that need to be investigated as part of the environmental impact statement. So the lady who wanted to know what were the things that we were looking at and what should we be looking for, it's actually detailed in that terms of reference, which is on the Coordinator General's website. We can give you those details, but it basically maps out the process that we need to work through. And so the goals that Nicole has been talking about are something that we are working through and really get applied to all major projects, transport projects in particular that are being developed.
I think that the problem is that some people think that those aspects are not correct and they need changing. So if they need changing, we need to get together to change them. Okay?